So in today's session, we will talk about how our hormones work and what disturbs them, because this has a very, very big role in our chances of conception and in our fertility journey. And I will also share with you a 5-point action plan that you can follow to take care of your hormones in a natural way. Let me introduce myself to you. My name is Anchal. I'm the co-founder of Wellcure. I'm a lifestyle medicine coach from the Hippocrates Health Institute of US, and I'm also a Nature Cure health coach from Dr. Arun Sharma's International Institute of Mahayoga and Natural Hygiene in US. And I'm also a fertility coach. And what you see here is the picture of my son. He's 5 years old now, but how I got into this journey of health is because of him. The reason I'm speaking to you today is because of him, because I had my own set of fertility challenges back in 2014. So to tell you very briefly about it, I was suffering from hormonal imbalance. I had low AMH, and my eggs, the quality of my eggs was poor. And therefore I was told that, either I have to conceive on my own quickly. Otherwise I was given a 3-month deadline. So either in 3 months you conceive on your own, otherwise you have to go for IVF is what I was told. And prior to that, I also had an autoimmune disease called ulcerative colitis, which is a disease of the digestive system. I'll request my colleague who's on the call with us in the session with us, Janvi, if you could just share the link of my story in the chat section, so you all can, after the session, go through that journey of mine in greater detail. But what I can tell you right now is that when I came across Nature Cure and I started following the laws of nature, I was able to take charge of my health. I was able to overcome my autoimmune disease, because otherwise I was supposed to be on medication for life. And this was when I was 32 years old, okay, in 2014. And not only that, I was also able to conceive without any treatments or without any medication. So that is the inspiration behind Wellcure, really, so to speak. And everything that I did, once I conceived, I realized that, I wish I had known this before. I wish someone had told all this to me. I would not have wasted so much of time, because when we want to conceive, we're really in a hurry. We want to conceive like right now, So I thought if I had known this, I could have conceived earlier. And I also thought if I had known this, there is so much of emotional trauma, mental trauma that I went through, I could have avoided all of that, right? So that is how I thought that I want to share this with more women, because there are so many of us who do struggle when it comes to conception. Okay, so now we are going to move ahead and get into the information part of today's session. So we are going to talk about a system of the body which governs the hormones. Okay, so I'm not going to be talking just about the reproductive system here. Our reproductive health, our fertility is very, very dependent on our hormonal health. So let's understand a little bit about the hormonal system. And the hormonal system is actually called the endocrine system. The endocrine system, it is a series of glands. Glands are a group of cells which make hormones, and then they release these hormones into the bloodstream. So when they release these hormones into the bloodstream, they are called endocrine glands. And when they release these other substances that they produce other than hormones, they release them into certain cavities in the body. In that case, these glands are called exocrine glands. We will be talking about the endocrine glands, because they are the ones that are about the hormones of the body. So these hormones, they're produced by different glands that they are that are there in the body, and they are sent into the bloodstream. From the bloodstream, they travel to various tissues in the body. And hormones are actually chemical messengers. So what they will do is they will travel from one part of the body to the other. And when they reach that other part, when they reach those tissues, they tell those tissues what they are supposed to do. Okay. And therefore, if the glands are not able to produce the right amount of hormones, then the message is not going to pass through properly. And that is how hormonal imbalances come into being. Now, hormones are used for a variety of functions in the body. It is not just related to our sexual health. It is also related to metabolism, to growth, to our sensory perception. Sensory perception means how we view this world, how we react to what is happening around us. That is also determined by hormones. Our movement, even our respiration is dependent on hormones. And there are different types of hormones and glands. Here we will talk about just a few of them, the main ones. One sec. Okay, so let's talk about first of all the brain. Okay, let's start with the brain. So in the brain, there are three very important glands. The first one is hypothalamus, which you can see in this picture. It's right in the center. And this one controls the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is called the master gland of your entire body. Right? So what this master gland does is it produces a lot of important hormones that are going to travel to the rest of the body and tell the rest of the body what it has to do. So for example, prolactin. When the pituitary gland produces prolactin, prolactin is a hormone which tells the breasts in a woman's body to start producing milk. Right, when she has conceived, when she has become pregnant, when she has delivered a child, now the child has to be given mother's milk. So it is the prolactin which is going to ready the mother's body for that. Let's look at this other one. Let me see if I can pronounce it correct. It's adrenocorticotropic. Okay, what this gland does, again, it is released from the pituitary gland, but it's going to go down to another set of glands which are called adrenal glands. Okay, they are near the kidneys. So it is going to go and give message to the adrenal gland to produce hormones which are related to, let's say, stress or the adrenal rush, so to speak. TSH is the thyroid stimulating hormone. So when pituitary gland produces TSH, TSH will go and tell your thyroid gland to start producing the thyroid hormones. FSH, LH, many of you may be knowing these terms. FSH is follicle stimulating hormone, LH is luteinizing hormone. They both have a key role in your menstrual cycle, in your fertility. Both these hormones are produced again by the pituitary, and they will go down and go to your ovaries or go to your reproductive system and tell them what needs to be done. So FSH is going to tell the ovaries that, okay, start developing the follicles every month, start developing the eggs so that one can be released for ovulation. And your luteinizing hormone is going to go and tell the ovaries that release the egg. That is ovulate. It's the right time, ovulate, release the egg. That is what the LH is going to do. And then we also have a pineal gland over here. So pineal gland, one very important hormone that it produces is melatonin. So melatonin is the sleep inducing hormone. It's the hormone that makes you feel sleepy and puts you to sleep. Let's look at parathyroid and thyroid. These are again two glands. Now parathyroid glands lie behind the thyroid. So what is thyroid? Thyroid gland is, we all have this collar neck. This muscle that you see over here, this is the collar neck, and just above that is the thyroid gland. Behind the thyroid gland, we have these parathyroid glands which are located, and what they do is that they have a key role in regulating the levels of calcium and phosphorus in our body. And other than that, what the thyroid hormone does, the thyroid hormone is a growth hormone. So it is going to release T3 and T4 hormones, and these are very important for metabolism in the body. What is metabolism? Any chemical reactions that take place in every cell of our body, which convert food into energy. That is called metabolism in simple terms. And the thyroid hormone is therefore very important for each part of the body, and especially for the reproductive system as well. Let's look at few others like pancreas. So everyone would know that the pancreas gland produces insulin. Pancreas is located in the abdomen, but it has two main functions. One is an endocrine function, which is that it's going to release the insulin, and insulin is what regulates the blood pressure, the blood glucose levels. Endocrine function is that the exocrine function is that it produces a lot of enzymes which help in digestion. So the pancreas gland is important. You would know that if there are blood sugar concerns in the body, that is not good for your chances of conceiving. That can also have implications on you having a successful pregnancy. Okay. Then we have the adrenal glands. So adrenal glands, like I said, they are behind the kidneys, and the role that they have in your fertility is that your sex drive is dependent on these glands. Cortisol, which is a stress hormone, is produced by these glands, and what role cortisol has, I will be explaining it to you shortly. And the third important hormone that they produce is called DHEA. Now, DHEA is a precursor for your sex hormones like estrogen, and in males for the sex hormone called testosterone. Precursor means DHEA is what is going to get used to make estrogen. And therefore, DHEA supplements are something which are very commonly recommended for women who are having a problem in conceiving. And the next gland is ovaries. Okay, so very commonly we refer to ovaries as organs, but ovaries are actually not organs, they are glands, and the hormones that they produce are estrogen and progesterone. And in men, there is testes, which produces the testosterone. Okay, so with this brief description, about the endocrine system and the various glands and hormones, what I wanted to bring forth to you is that when we are looking at our fertility and our reproductive health, we tend to focus on a very few things which are maybe a part of the reproductive system, but everything else that is out there is also very important. These things are all linked. So our pancreas has an impact on our fertility, our adrenal, which produces DHEA, thyroid, and of course the master gland is the pituitary gland. All of these have an impact on your chances to conceive, and therefore you must view your body as one whole rather than looking at it in different parts. Okay. Now let's move ahead and look at some statistics. Now, it is said that 1 in 5 women suffer from PCOS. Okay, so 1 in 5 women means 20% of the women are facing this challenge of PCOS. 2 in 10 women suffer from hypothyroid. Okay, that's again a huge number. 20% of the women are suffering from hypothyroid. And according to WHO report, 1 in every 4 couples in developing countries is affected by infertility. That's a huge 25%, and this number must be actually much higher because infertility is not something which is commonly discussed and commonly reported. So these are very huge numbers. And have you ever thought that why is it so? I mean, why is there so much of infertility which is there? Because especially if you see a generation ago, like if we look at our parents' generation, women were easily conceiving and they were having multiple kids, so people were easily having, like on my mother's side, they were 5 siblings, my father's side 4 siblings. My in-laws side even more. There were 7 or 8 siblings, both on my mother-in-law's side, my father-in-law's side. So what, in the chat section, can you just mention like what is the size of families you have seen? How many kids have you seen in your family? Let's look if we can get an interesting number there. You can mention in the chat section. Maybe due to stress. Yes, Gayatri. 6, 10, 9 kids. Wow. Imagine. So when we look at these women, Prachi saying 5, mom side 6, dad side 7, 5, 7. Wow. 3, 6. Amazing. Isn't that amazing? I mean, when you're 11, oh my God. When you look at these numbers, I mean, don't you really wonder how are they producing so many kids? I mean, we are finding difficult to conceive even once, or a lot of times these days women have conceived once, but they are finding it difficult to conceive the second time. And look at this, 5, 9. My God. So that rings a bell, you know. What is it that we are doing wrong? What is it that our generation is doing wrong? Any pointers on that? What do you think is the problem with us? Any guesses? You can put in the chatting section. Food, lifestyle, yes. Diet, stress, late marriage, environment, commitment and trust issues. Okay, anxiety, work-life balance, yes. Food habits and stress, yes, absolutely. These are all the right answers, and they do have an impact on our chances of conceiving. Putting people down, yeah, putting people down, and trust issues and things like that. I would put it in our emotional well-being. I would put it in that category. And yes, sedentary lifestyle, emotional well-being, these are all extremely important for our chances of conceiving. So in between, Mehak has written no voice. Mehak, if you can't hear me, you can just maybe chat separately with my colleague and she'll help you out, because otherwise I'm audible. Everyone else is able to listen. No exercises. Wait. Okay. Okay. Yes. All those answers are correct. So let's move ahead. And you see this picture over here. This is the picture of an iceberg. Now, in the iceberg, what happens is that what we see on top, what we see above the sea level is one part of the iceberg. But what is there below the sea surface is actually the larger part of the iceberg, right? Our health is quite similar to this. Our reproductive system is very similar to this. So on the top, from the top, we might be saying that, okay, I'm unable to conceive because of XYZ reasons, some of those that you mentioned over here, or we would say that I have a problem of PCOS, or I have endometriosis, or I have thyroid, blah, 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 all those reasons. That is when we look at it from the top. But if you do a deep dive, you will realize that the foundation of our health has a very, very big role to play. So like in this iceberg, the foundation is actually below the water, and it is so huge, so big. It is probably 3 times or 4 times the size of the iceberg we see on top. Similarly, in our case also, our internal health and well-being is quite poor these days for many of the factors that you had just mentioned. And that is what we need to focus on. Once we start correcting that, what you see from the top, the issues, the fertility issues, those are going to go away. Okay. And with that perspective, we are now going to talk about, like I explained to you, that the endocrine system is the base of your reproductive health. So what can you do for your endocrine health is what we will start discussing from here onwards. Okay, so there are a few factors which disrupt our endocrine system. These are 4. there are four reasons, four factors which go and disturb our endocrine system, don't let the hormones work properly. And these four reasons are heavy metals, something called xeno hormones, stress, and depleted foods. So all of you did mention about stress and depleted foods. Let's also look at heavy metals and xeno hormones. So first of all, let's begin by understanding what are heavy metals, how do they come into our life, and what impact do they have. So we are going to watch two very small videos here, which will completely explain everything about heavy metals that we need to know from the perspective of this session. So Janvi, if you could just play out these two videos.
You have to stop screen sharing.
Yeah, I've done that.
Can you see my screen?
Yes. You'll maximize it, right? Full screen? Full screen, you'll put it on full screen? Yes.
The term heavy metals may refer to a variety of elements with high density or metallic properties. These elements are found naturally throughout the environment and are also used by common industries. Some of them, such as iron, copper, selenium, and zinc, are required in trace amounts by the body for normal function, but can be toxic at higher levels. Some metals are much more toxic than others, and one form of a metal may be more harmful than other forms, such as an organic versus an inorganic metal compound. The body is able to process small amounts of heavy metals, but moderate to large quantities can accumulate in the kidneys, liver, bones, and brain. Some metals are considered carcinogenic, and some can affect the body's ability to produce red and white blood cells. Fetuses and young children are at the highest risk because exposures to low or moderate concentrations can affect physical and mental development and can permanently damage the organs and brain. Many of the metals can be passed from the mother to the fetus, and some can be passed to the infant in breast milk. Exposures to the same amounts and types of heavy metals will not necessarily lead to the same effects in different people because they absorb and eliminate metals at different rates. Those who have underlying health conditions may be more vulnerable than others to the same exposures. Aalborg Medical Laboratories. Watch more.
Okay, there's one more video we'll watch. Small one.
A heavy metal burden in the body can take a heavy toll on a person's health. An individual whose body contains a high concentration of toxic heavy metals is at risk for a wide range of serious health conditions. No one ingests toxic heavy metals on purpose, so how do they get inside us? It depends on the metal. Take mercury. This silvery-looking liquid metal is extremely toxic, even in small doses. Mercury is a primary ingredient in many silver fillings, and a form of mercury is still used as a preservative in some adult vaccines. Coal-fired power plants release 50 tons of mercury into the atmosphere every year, some of which is inevitably inhaled, although most of it falls to the earth where it contaminates streams, rivers, lakes, and oceans. Mercury is ingested by several of the most widely consumed species of fish and shellfish, so when we eat these fish, the mercury in them gets into us. Lead is another toxic heavy metal. A few decades ago, lead was everywhere in gasoline, household paints, and indoor plumbing. Today, although gasoline and paint are lead-free, homes built before 1978 can still have lead-based paint, and the lead in older water pipes can leach into the water we drink and cook with. Lead is still found in significant quantities in automobile batteries, and in areas where mines are operated, there can be a significant amount of lead runoff into the local environment. You might not have heard so much about cadmium, but it's a toxic heavy metal found in batteries, fertilizers, and PVC plastics. It even shows up in some processed foods and drinks. In addition to directly harming our health, toxic heavy metals also do harm indirectly by competing with other non-toxic metals that are essential to our health. Do you have an unhealthy level of one or more toxic
that was about the heavy metals, and I hope you understood how they find a way into our body and wreak havoc on our health. Let's move on to the second one, which is called xenohormones. So xeno is derived from a Greek word xenos, which means stranger. So xenohormones means that these are hormones which are a stranger to our body. These are actually external hormones, synthetic hormones, not naturally existing hormones. But when they get into our body, they show properties. They start behaving like some of the hormones that are there. For example, xenoestrogens are going to act like the estrogen made in our body. Xenoandrogens will act as the androgens. Xenoprogesterones are going to act as the progesterone, and they have a very bad effect on our health, because what happens is that when a hormone is released by one gland of the body and it reaches the tissue where, you know, it is going and passing the message that what is this tissue supposed to do, this tissue, or these are called the receptor sites because they're receiving the hormone. So what these guys, these xenohormones, will do is that they are going to go and combine with these receptor sites and give them some message. They will trigger the reaction which the hormone was supposed to be doing. And they also lead to formation of these extra receptor sites in the body. They also inhibit the ability of the liver to excrete estrogens. So what happens in our body is that, body is able to balance. So if there is any hormone which is in excess, our liver is able to excrete it from the body and remove it. But in case of xenohormones, because they are not natural in nature, they are artificial, they are synthetic for the body, the liver is not able to process them. And therefore, what happens in the body, your hormone has increased. So for example, your estrogen has increased manifold, body is not able to get rid of it. This estrogen, xenoestrogen, is going and giving wrong messages here and there, and there is complete havoc. You start having your fertility issues, ovulation issues, PCOS, PCOD, so on and so forth. Okay, so these xenohormones are big disruptors to our endocrine system. Now, what are the sources? From where do we get these xenohormones into our body? Well, when we eat animal-based foods are strangers. The hormones of animals find way into our body, also because a lot of times the animals are injected with artificial hormones to make them fleshy or to make their output increase. And when we consume products from these animals, these hormones find way into our body. They go and disrupt our system. Solvents and adhesives, the paints that we use in our houses, dry cleaning products, nail polish can also have xenohormones. Car exhaust, plastics, petrochemically derived pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, emulsifiers which are found in soap and cosmetics, pollution from industrial waste. All of these are sources by way of which these xenohormones come into our body. And we can eat xenohormones, through the foods that we eat. Or let's say if you are using plastic material in your kitchen, especially if you are heating your food in plastic, then xenohormones, you're eating the xenohormones. You are inhaling them because they are out there in the air. And when you are using products, when you're using cosmetics, you are using soaps, or you're applying them on your skin, so through your skin also you are absorbing these xenohormones. We will quickly read this slide. These are some of the effects of various heavy metals or xenohormones on our body. So let's start with pituitary gland that we spoke about. Heavy metals are inversely associated with blood concentrations of LH levels, luteinizing hormone. Nonylphenol is negatively associated with maternal plasma LH levels. Nonylphenol is used in manufacturing antioxidants, lubricating oil additives, laundry and dish detergents, emulsifiers, and solubilizers. So even the laundry and dish detergents that we are using can be toxic for our fertility. Let's look at the ovary. Pesticides are associated with reduced sex steroid hormone production. Heavy metals are associated with decreased mature oocytes and oocyte yield following ovarian stimulation. So oocytes are the follicles in our ovary where the eggs develop every month. Dioxin is associated with inhibited enzymes and hormone receptors within the steroidogenesis pathway. PCBs are associated with reduced IVF embryo development. Parabens are associated with reduced antral follicle numbers and shortened menstrual cycle. So parabens are very commonly found in your skincare products that you use. And for the uterus, heavy metals are associated with fibroids, with uterine fibroids. So, well, we may not understand all the terms that are mentioned over here, but what we can definitely understand is that a lot of these elements which exist in our daily lives, we are using them, eating them, breathing them, smelling them, they are going and disrupting our endocrine system. Let's look at this one example. 96% of the US population has oxybenzone in their bodies, which is a known endocrine disruptor linked to reduced sperm count in men and endometriosis in women. And the main source of this compound called oxybenzone is sunscreens. Yeah, so there are various studies that have been done, and sunscreens which many of you might be using maybe on an everyday basis also. Did you realize that sunscreen can actually be bad for you because it has endocrine disruptors? Okay, so this is one example of a personal care product which can have an impact on your chances of conceiving. Third, we spoke about heavy metals, we spoke about the xeno hormones. Now let's talk about stress. So a lot of you mentioned in the chat section about stress and how it does impact our chances of conceiving. But let's look at it again from a hormonal perspective, that what is really happening over here. So the hormone which is responsible for stress, it's called cortisol. And what happens is that cortisol decreases the release of another hormone, which is called GnRH. Okay, GnRH, or the gonadotropin releasing hormone, is produced by the hypothalamus, which we saw in one of the earlier slides. And this GnRH hormone is going to go and tell the pituitary gland in the brain that please make FSH. Please make luteinizing hormone. In men, it is going to tell the testicles that please make testosterone. They're all sex hormones. Okay. Now, therefore, if there is a lot of cortisol, there is a lot of stress, and therefore the GnRH is getting impacted, it is going to go and impact FSH, LH, in men testosterone, and what that will therefore lead to in us in women's body is that it's going to disturb ovulation, because LH, FSH have a key role there. It is going to disturb estrogen. So estrogen is released, when the ovaries receive the FSH and they start developing the follicles. Estrogen is produced by the ovaries. Estrogen goes and tells the uterus that please start preparing the uterine lining. Make it a bit strong because a fertilized egg might come. Okay? Now, and then later in the cycle, progesterone also comes into being, and it further helps in building this wall to support the fertilized egg. But if LH and FSH go out of balance, then all these other actions get interrupted. Okay, so therefore that is the role of endocrine, of stress, specifically from a hormonal perspective. Okay, and the last one, some of you mentioned diet as one of the reasons why our generation is struggling more than our previous one, and that reason is depleted foods, because we are eating a lot of processed foods, and with processing, the nutrients and the enzymes in the food, they are stripped away, and therefore that's not very supportive of the endocrine function. Like for all the hormones to perform their function, they have to be produced by the body. They have to be healthy hormones, but we are not giving that kind of nutrition to the body anymore. Okay, Janvi, I have one request. Can you just switch off the videos of some of the people, because it's a bit distracting to me. I think they're moving around while watching the session. I would request if you could all keep your videos off, or if you could just sit and attend the session. Otherwise, it's a bit disturbing for me, if you don't mind.
So actually, I cannot turn another person's video off, but I can turn audio off. So yes, we request all of you to kindly switch off your cameras.
Okay, let's move ahead. So what should we do? Like we understood about endocrine health, what is disrupting the endocrine system, but what is it that we can do for our fertility? Well, we have to support our health at the root level. We have to support our hormones as a whole. You know, we are not focusing here that I have to fix my estrogen, or my FSH is high, how do I fix that? My LH is high, how do I fix that? We are not here for that, because all that balancing the body will do, it knows how to do it. We have to ensure that we are providing it the right nourishment, the right nutrients. We have to treat the body as one whole, and we don't have to go by the symptoms or the names of the so-called fertility issues that one might have. So we have to prepare our body that it is able to produce these hormones, these healthy hormones. And the best indicator of that is going to be how do you feel on an everyday basis. If you make your changes in diet and lifestyle on an everyday basis, are you feeling more energetic? Are you feeling happier? Are you able to sleep well? These are some of the simple indicators which will show that yes, your hormonal health is in place. Okay. So there are 5 pillars that I'm going to talk about now. So for your hormonal health, you can go by these 5 pillars, these 5 action points, to see that you are able to take charge of your endocrine health. So let's start with the first one, which is cleansing. Okay. Now you have xeno hormones that have come into your body. You have the heavy metals that have come into your body. And also, you know, based on whatever you are eating, that also leads to waste products into the body, which have to be taken off. You know, everything which is a waste product in the body, which is of no use to the body, it has to be removed from the body. Only when your blood is clean, only when there are no toxins circulating in your body, and on an everyday basis the body is able to eliminate them properly, that is the time you maximize your chances of conception. So how do you do this cleansing work? Well, one very important thing is sweat it out, exercise. Okay, so one of you mentioned a sedentary lifestyle in the chat section. So we all know it, yet we don't do it. No? Can you tell me in the chat section how many of you sweat it out every day? Every day you are exercising, or let's say for most part of the week you are exercising. Anyone? I do every day, no workout. Yes, 5-6 days, very good. Me, if not every day, at least 5 days, that's good. 5 days is good. I walk sometimes. Okay, good. So busy with office and family, 3-4 times a week. I do 3 to 4 days. Procrastination, 3 to 4 days. Okay, I walk every day. Okay, okay, thank you. So what you have to do is you have to exercise. You have to move your body. I would say at least 5 times in a week for at least 30 to 45 minutes. And the reason for that is very simple, because when you will move, your blood is going to circulate better. When your blood circulates better, it is going to be, you will have proper blood circulation in your reproductive system, which is very important, right? Because it is the blood which is going to carry all the oxygen and all the nutrients to your reproductive system. So if you're not moving, how is all that material going to reach your reproductive system. So therefore, do all of that. And running is very good. So for those of you who mentioned walking, see if you can start adding a bit of running into your routine, because that's going to really help you sweat out. And sweating is important because skin is one of our organs of elimination. When you will run, when you will sweat, the waste materials from the body, the toxins from the body are going to come out through the sweat. Okay, so this is a good way of cleansing your body. And the second thing that you can do is that every morning you start your day with a green juice. Okay, so we will now see a small video which will show how this green juice is to be made. And the green juice is specifically very, very important from a heavy metals perspective, because the greens which are there in this juice, they have the ability of natural chelation. Natural chelation, chelation means removing the impact of the heavy metal. So that is done by the greens, the green leafy vegetables which we put into the juice. And we did see that heavy metals can have a lot of impact on your reproductive health. So do take this juice on an empty stomach first thing in the morning when you wake up. So Janvi, if you could just play out the video, how this juice is to be made.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So for green juice, what we'll need is white pumpkin. You have to peel it and remove the seeds. Add dhania, which is a very great detoxifier. And you can also add curry leaf or mint leaf. So these are the herbs which you can add. You have to put all these things in a mixie. Then pour 200 to 300 ml of water per glass. And then mix and blend, and then you sieve the mix, and then the juice will be ready, which you can have it twice a day, first thing in the morning.
Okay, so that was about the green juice, and that was about the cleansing part that you have to focus on. Let's move ahead. Okay, now when it also comes to cleansing, it is very important that you ditch the morning tea or coffee. So you are actually replacing your morning tea or coffee with this green juice that we just learned about. And the reason for that is that tea and coffee are highly acidic to the body. Your blood has a pH balance, and tea and coffee take you more towards the acidic side. We want to stay moderately alkaline, and therefore tea, coffee can be avoided. Also, the second reason is that in the morning cycle of our body, so the morning cycle is from 4 a.m. to 12 p.m. In this cycle, the body is doing a lot of work on elimination of toxin, on cleansing. This is the work, this is the function which is at its peak in this cycle. So when we have something like tea and coffee, we break this cycle of cleansing, and as a result of that, the toxins which should have been shed, they are actually being pushed back into the system. We don't want to do that. Okay, so if any of you take tea, coffee in the morning, then you should definitely stop that. And instead of that, you should begin your day with this green juice. We will move to the second point, which is nourishing. Okay, so the second pillar of endocrine health is that you have to nourish your body. And for that, you can add some healthy fats to your diet. So I would suggest that on an everyday basis, you should be having 2 tablespoons of seeds. Okay. Now, there is a very common methodology which is being practiced in the natural living circles, which is called seed cycling. So what happens in seed cycling is that there are 4 seeds which one has to consume at different points of time in your menstrual cycle. So these 4 seeds are flaxseed, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and sesame seeds. These 4 seeds have to eat. Let's see how you eat them. Now, let me first tell you what is menstrual cycle. Okay, so menstrual cycle is the number of days which starts from day 1 of your menstruation. So let's say if I have started menstruating today, then today is day 1. Today is going to be counted as day 1. And the next time that I get my period, okay, 1 day prior to that, it has been how many days? Right? Let me tell it to you in terms of dates. So let's say today is the 1st of August and I get my period today. Okay? And the next time I get my period is the 29th of August. My cycle is going to be 29th August minus 1st August. So I'm not going to count 29th August. I'm counting 1st August, 2nd August, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, so on till 28th. 29th is when I'm getting my next period. So that shows that my cycle is 28 days. That's how you calculate the length of your menstrual cycle. Now, our menstrual cycle is divided into 2 parts. There is a follicular phase and there is a luteal phase. So the follicular phase is one where your follicles are developing. Your eggs are developing in the ovaries. And the luteal phase is one where which starts immediately after ovulation. So the moment ovulation happens, egg is released by the ovary. From that time onwards till you get your next period, that phase is called the luteal phase. So phase 1 is follicular, phase 2 is luteal. So what you have to do is that in the follicular phase, every day you have to take 1 tablespoon of flax seeds and you have to take 1 tablespoon of pumpkin seeds. What these seeds help do and why we are eating different seeds during different times of the cycle is because these seeds have an impact on our hormone levels. Okay, so for example, flax seeds help in regulating the estrogen levels in the body. Right? Pumpkin seeds, they balance the progesterone which is needed for the luteal phase of the body, so on and so forth. So therefore, in the first phase, for the first 14 days till the ovulation occurs, you are having these flax seeds and pumpkin seeds, 1 tablespoon each on an everyday basis. And after ovulation has happened, which is the luteal phase, you start having 1 tablespoon of sesame seeds and 1 tablespoon of sunflower seeds on an everyday basis. Now, some of you might say that, you know, I don't know when I am ovulating. Well, if your cycles are regular, you would have an idea about your average menstrual cycle. Okay, so it might happen that 1 month it is 28 days, 1 month it is 29, and another month maybe it is 27. But typically, look at it from a 3 months perspective, take an average, and based on that average period, to divide your cycle into the follicular phase and the luteal phase. Okay, and for those of you whose cycles are not regular and therefore you can't do this calculation, I will just explain what you can do. So what you can do in that case is that you can take these seeds pretty much throughout the month. So you don't really need to track your follicular phase and your luteal phase, because here is the thing, these seeds provide phytoestrogens, phytohormones to your body. So we spoke about the xeno hormones. Xeno hormones are artificial in nature, synthetic, body doesn't know what to do with them. On the other hand, when we get hormones from plant-based sources, they behave exactly the same way as our body's hormones work, and therefore it is absolutely in body's power, it is absolutely in the liver's power to you know, excrete anything extra that has come in. Okay, so even if you're not able to track your phases and eat based on that, you can still overall, on an overall basis, on an everyday basis, just have 2 tablespoons of seeds. You can mix all these 4 in 1 jar and have 2 spoons every day, or you could keep it in separate jars, and you know, on few days you're having 2 of them, on the other days you're having the other 2 of them. So the idea is that, let's say on a regular basis, you are including these seeds into your diet till you're able to regularize your cycles. And once you're able to do that, you can always go back and start tracking these luteal phases and follicular phases. And how you have to consume these seeds is that it is preferable if you soak them for a few hours, because that makes them more easily digestible for your system. And once you've soaked them, I mean, you can have them on their own. You don't really need to mix them in anything else. But if you want, you can add them to your soups. But when you're blending your vegetables for the soup, you can add these seeds and blend them along. You can add them to your vegetable salads. You can make cutlets. When you make your vegetable cutlets, put them over there. Or if you're making any rotis or dosas or idlis, you can put them there as well. So these are some of the ways in which you can have these seeds. And do note that we don't want to have more than 2 tablespoons of seeds in a day. We don't want more than that. And here are some of the benefits of having these seeds. They help balance the hormones, help regularize periods, alleviate menopausal symptoms, helps reduce symptoms of hot flashes, vaginal dryness, helps improve sex hormone, helps reduce androgen levels, which are the positive factor of facial hair, helps manage infertility, light or heavy bleeding, PMS, thyroid disorders, and reduce mood swings, fatigue, etc., etc. Okay, we move on to the third one. The third action that you can take for your endocrine system is that you need to protect it. So for that, please avoid depleted foods as much as possible. Move towards eating whole foods. Whole foods means foods which are in as natural a state as possible. The more you will process them, the more their enzymes and nutrients are stripped off. So we don't want to eat packaged foods. We want to minimize those. Instead of having refined grains like, you know, white rice or the white flour, maida, or the regular wheat flour also, which is coming in the packets, that is highly refined, highly processed. So instead of that, we want to move on to other varieties of rice, maybe millet rice, brown rice, red rice, black rice, which are less processed in nature. And for flours also, we can incorporate many other flours like, you know, amaranth or ragi, jawar, bajra, which are lesser refined versions. When it comes to pulses, instead of polished pulses, you know, which look very pretty, they look nice and glossy, but they've often been rubbed with oil and processed so much that they don't have much nutrition left. So instead of going in for good looking pulses, go in for pulses which are more natural in nature. The second thing you can do is avoid the use of plastic, and just go and do a plastic audit this week, you know, in your house. Go to your kitchen and just see how much plastic you are using. Check your refrigerator, check your almirahs, and you will realize plastic is all over the place. So we definitely want to avoid using plastic. And similarly, just go to your bathroom and check. There are so many things in the bathroom. Your soap dispenser can be plastic. Your soap dish can be plastic. And a lot of things can be replaced with steel-based products or with glass-based products. So try doing that. And the third thing you can do is try to use personal and home care products which are softer on your skin. So look for, you know, the creams that you use or the soaps and all that you use. See if they are paraben free and sulfate free to begin with. Read the labels, because some of the natural products, their labels are very simple. They will have very few components, 5-6 components. You read them and educate yourself more. You will start understanding all of this. Whereas some of the other products, when you look at the labels, those names are very intimidating. So start getting into that process. And of course, on Wellcure, we do a lot of natural beauty workshops. You can attend some of those and see how you can do better on this. There are things that you can make at home, but you know, even if you don't have the time or the inclination to make it home, you can always educate yourself better and then go out and choose the right kind of products, ask the right kind of questions, which is a journey in itself, but that is something you can start doing now. And the next thing I would say for protecting yourself is grow your own food. Okay, so if you have a garden, a lawn where you can grow some veggies, it's absolutely fun to do so. So grow your own food, and if space is a constraint, you can always, you know, grow a few herbs in some pots. So try doing that, you know, maybe curry leaves, coriander, mint, basil leaves, these all grow very easily. And if not even that, then sprouts is something that, I mean, you don't even need a lawn to do that. So try incorporating some of these points to protect your endocrine system. The fourth point I would say is balancing. Okay, life is all about balancing. So follow the 90-10 rule is what I say. So the 90-10 rule means that, let's say you are having 21 meals in a week. Okay, so every day you are having 3 main meals. So 3 into 7 makes it 21. Out of those 21, please make sure that 90% of the times you are eating healthy food. So healthy foods means foods which are made at home, which are fresh, which have lots of vegetables in them. You are having a lot of fruits, grains, nuts and seeds, whole grains. Okay, so that is what I'll broadly classify as healthy. So just see that 90% of what you are eating on a weekly basis is healthy, and the 10% of the times you can go in foods that you crave for, or foods that you are eating because you're used to eating them and you really you know, don't want to let go of those foods. Those you can eat as part of the cheat meal. So that's for balancing and staying happy about what you are doing, right? Okay, now I have a question for you. This is the fifth part of how you can support your endocrine health. And the question is that, when was the last time that you sat in the sunshine, or you had an air bath, or you enjoyed a cold water bath or shower, you touched any mud, soil, touched any plants, noticed birds for their beauty, you noticed them because of their chirping? When was the last time you felt the raindrops fall on your body? You went out and enjoyed the rains without an umbrella. Is that something that you do often? Today I saw birds, felt the air. Very often I plant. Awesome. Planting, gardening is very, very great. Raindrops yesterday. Very good. Beautiful. Okay. So here's the thing. We spoke about, you know, how stress has an impact on our hormonal health. We saw it from the perspective of the various hormones that are at play. And therefore, in that context, self-care becomes extremely important. So we have to take out time for ourselves. And we have to do things which help us connect with nature. And hence I was asking these questions. You know, how much of nature time are you really spending on an everyday basis? Because mostly we are in air-conditioned environments and we don't even know whether it's sunny outside or cloudy outside. A lot of times the curtains are closed. We're busy with our office work. Well, to keep stress at bay, it is important that you spend some time in the nature every single day of the week. Well, over weekends you can do a bit more as well, but weekdays you should definitely do. And you can practice something called nature meditation. So what nature meditation is that, when you're out in nature, please keep your phones away. Only you are there and nature is there. So you're not talking to anyone, you're not reading anything, you're not on your mobile. So mobiles are definitely off. But what you are doing is you are simply observing nature. So some of these things that I mentioned over here, you can experience these and focus only on these. You can do so with your eyes closed, you can do so with your eyes open, but do it every day, I would say at least for 10 or 15 minutes, because we are all, you know, there's this term called nature deficit syndrome. Okay, so all of us have this deficit of nature, and when you start engaging more with nature and start enjoying that process, you are really resetting your hormonal health and helping yourself de-stress. Okay, so do practice this one technique of nature meditation on an everyday basis. Okay. Okay, so that's on the knowledge part for today's session. So let me just conclude the key points here. What I said was that your reproductive health is highly dependent on your hormonal health, and these hormones are not just from your reproductive system, but they are closely coordinating and interacting with hormones from the entire body, and therefore it is the endocrine health that you need to work on. Second thing we said was that the fertility issues today are on the rise because there are a lot of endocrine disruptors which are out there, and we have to deal with those disruptors to maximize our chances of conception. And the third thing I told you was that I gave you a 5-point action plan that how do you keep these endocrine disruptors at bay and maximize your fertility through cleansing action, through nourishing, protecting, balancing, and self-care.